Good evening. Welcome to Urban Facts. I'm Eamon Hotep,
Gabriel Parker.
and today we will be interviewing this guy right here, Mr. Thomas Waters of Men with Vision. So we'll be talking about his organization, what it's about, and what vision these guys have going on. Before we get into that, I just want to give you guys an update in regards to Shane Pryor. Excuse me. Shane Pryor was an individual. He escaped from Children's Hospital. I'm not quite sure how he did that. I didn't read more into the story, but apparently he went to the hospital for a hand injury, eluded authorities. I wouldn't necessarily say he eluded the authorities, but he was walking around the hospital like, he was there on a routine visit, and somehow was able to walk through the door, borrow a phone from somebody, and just walk away. So it's not funny. It's actually sad that we have individuals, well, today's youth, being incarcerated at such a young age. He's actually incarcerated for homicide. Excuse me. He committed in when he was 14, so that would be 2020. So before we get to Mr. Waters, today is the start of Black History Month. So we will be talking about a very, how can I say, this guy he has a reputation of being a coon. So here, go right here. This is the infamous, famous Mr. Stepin Fetchit. Um, I was talking with somebody, I think the other day, and Public Enemy has this song called "Burn Hollywood Burn," and in the song they refer to Stepin Fetchit, humiliating his race. That's basically what a coon is. But Mr. Lincoln Perry, that's his real name. Let me read his bio right fast. Stepin Fetchit, born Lincoln Theodore Monroe Andrew Perry, that's a lot of names, on May 30th, 1902, on Key West, making him a Connacht, and would grow up to be a successful, if not paralyzing, Hollywood actor. His career as an actor is what labeled him as a sellout and a coon to his own race due to his character. Let me see if I can find a real a fast clip right fast. Mr. Perry. Excuse me. Let me see something here. Let's see, Lincoln Perry. See. All right, here, right here. Let's see if we can get this here. All right, hold on here. I'm gonna let you guys check this out. All right, let me see. You want to stop sharing the screen with that? I just want you guys to see the screen we have with Mr. Perry. Here it is right here. All right. All right, you guys can check this out.
A man and a cat lived all alone, shared everything in a shack called home. Got beat to one pork chop, the cat grabbed the man's chop. Put it down, let it hit the ground. Be no low down hound, cat put it back. Drop that skin, ease it back in there, Jim. Let it shower 60 miles an hour. I sympathize with you, but that's stuff to see me through. So if you want to stay fat, go get yourself a rat. No kitty be no clown, snatching rats and stuff ain't sound. Throw it from you, John. Put it down. Now, cat, leave it lay there. Bring it down too crowded. Just take slap that skin. Use it in there.
So as you can see, Mr. Perry is portraying a buffoon. Now that is, let me see if I can look at the year on here. Let's see. All right. So it's 1945. So if you're not familiar with Black history, in 1945 they wasn't offering a lot of Black actors prominent roles, so he wouldn't have been the Denzel Washington of the day, but he definitely was a trailblazer. Let's get back to his bio right fast here. Let's see. So I'm gonna finish with the bio. So not just a performer, Perry was also working as an entertainment critic for the Chicago Defender, one of the country's leading weekly newspapers for the Black community. In the 1930s, he began to lobby for pay equal to that given to his white co-stars to fight a fight that he would lose. So basically, he was fighting for equal pay for Black actors. Like you said, he eventually lost. By the end of the decade, he had been labeled a problem and would choose to walk away from Hollywood. For anyone visiting Hollywood, California, Stepin Fetch's star is on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, to be found on the west side of 1700 block of Vine Street, making him the only Connacht with a star on the famed walk. So despite what Public Enemy may said about him and others, Mr. Perry is definitely known for his activism. It didn't mention a lot in the bio, but he also would he did a lot of social injustice activism, for Black actors, like you just heard, and then also for the civil rights movement. So we're going to now take a quick look at our guest, Mr. Thomas Waters. Let me pull this up. We seem to be getting an echo here. Let me see something here. Hello? Yeah, I probably stopped it, I guess. All right. So here, Mr. Waters. Stop sharing. Pull this up here. So this is Mr. Waters' first podcast for the year in regards to Men with Vision.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Tom Waters, also known as Waters Speaks, and welcome to my first motivational video for 2024. Listen, we're in a brand new year, and I wanted to come on and share something with you that I think that's going to help you as we get ready, as we move into this new year. So the title of this video, of this message is entitled, "It's Not Supposed to Be Easy." We live in a world in a time where people will make you believe that everything you're going to do, your vision, a dream, is going to happen overnight, and that it's actually going to be easy to accomplish. But in reality, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that it's not going to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy, but what it will be is worth it. Let me give you an example. A few minutes ago, as I was setting up for this video and trying to get my camera straight, I have a piece of tape underneath the bottom of my camera applied to my laptop. And it was giving me all kinds of problems just to get it to stick. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, why is this so complicated? Why is this being so hard? And then I came to the realization that It's not supposed to be easy. You see, whenever you get ready to do something new, you're ready to do something different, or you're working on your vision, you will come up against some obstacles. That is just the fact of life. And while I understand that we all want to be successful, I believe that we all can be successful in what we're trying to accomplish in 2024. You have to understand and embrace the fact that it's not always going to be easy. There will be some challenges. There will be some disappointments. There will be some frustration. Some doors will open, some doors will close. You'll get some yeses and you'll get some nos. It's not going to be easy, but it's not supposed to be. But what it will be is it will be worth it if you stick with it.
So that is Mr. Waters. And without further ado, we are going to stop sharing this screen and bring on the phenomenal Mr. Thomas Waters. Hello, sir.
What's going on, sir? How you doing?
All right. Hope you got that tape situated on that camera.
Don't start, man. Don't start. Hey, young lady, how are you tonight?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
Hey, we want to find out about your ministry here. We're definitely excited to have you on as a guest. Just a little history about me and Prophet Tom. We were deacons at Victory Christian Center around the same time. He's now a prophet there. That's where I met him at. I used to photograph his events for his Men with Vision award ceremonies, I believe it was.
Yes.
And he would bring on prominent leaders or people that they deem necessary to receive this award. And the program itself and the mission, the ministry definitely did focus on the issues of men. So we're going to start off with our first question from Mr. Waters, and that will be, tell us about your childhood.
Wow, you want me to dig back in the crates when you talk about my childhood. But okay. So my childhood, I guess I'll break it down into phases. My younger childhood, say from the ages of 6 to maybe 12, was fine. I really enjoyed being a young child. My mother, raised primarily by a single mother. So, but I think I became difficult once I hit junior high school. Difficulty hit there because I was bullied quite a bit in junior high school. It was like the worst 3 years of my life. Constantly being picked on because I was very small for my age. So I hated that time. I had some good friends. I met one of my best friends who actually made my 3 years in junior high school really good. But outside of that, I did not care for it. So between those ages of, I guess, with the 13 on up to 15 or 16 before I went to high school, my childhood was not that great when it came to school. Outside of school, it was fine. Once again, raised primarily by a single mother. I have one brother and one sister, and we always got along pretty well. So my childhood was, it varied. I wasn't a depressed child. I wasn't one of those children with a whole lot of trouble. I just couldn't wait to grow up. I can't hear you.
I was muted. I'm sorry. I definitely understand, the thing about being bullied in high school. I was bullied myself. I'm gonna bring Ambrielle on, and she has your next question.
Okay.
What were some challenges that you had as a young man?
Trying to get started in life. For me, for some reason, I got out of high school. I didn't go to college right away. I got out of high school, went to work, got my first job working in a fast food restaurant, washing dishes and delivering food. I did that for about a year, but then I got let go from that job. And from that point on, it was difficult getting the job. Like I'd get a job, I'd get laid off, or something would happen. So for quite a while, up until about the age of 23, before I went into the military, I was constantly struggling just to get myself situated. You want to get your life started. I made some bad decisions. I had a really good job with an insurance company, but because they weren't paying me the money I thought I should be paid, I quit, which was really a bad decision because now I had no job, I had no money, and I was living in my first apartment. So I decided to go into the military at that point. which didn't work out because I injured myself. So I think for me, the hardest thing was just getting my life started, where I can say, I finally can see myself going somewhere, although I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go.
Now, you said you had some challenges, in regards to high school. I mean, schooling and then the military. I was just talking with somebody today, and I was telling them that, a lot of youth going into 12th grade and moving on to college is just the assumption that they have everything together and, they still need guidance. So around this point in your life, what was your guiding force?
I always wanted to be somebody, if that makes any sense. Like I always wanted to be somebody. I always wanted to do something important. And at that stage in my life, when I went to college the first time, the only reason why I stopped because it was during the George Bush era and the funding stopped. I couldn't get any more loans, get any more grants, and I just got frustrated and I just dropped out. And and then I started working, like I said, various jobs, and I finally landed a job that really kicked off my career. But yeah.
Okay. Next question would be, tell us about Men with Vision and why was there a need for it?
Sure. Men with Vision, the Ministry of Men with Vision was a vision action given to me by God in 2012. And I'm a big proponent of men and helping men get to what I believe is their God-given place of destiny. I mean, we all have a purpose, but my goal is to help men find their purpose, nurture them to get to their purpose, and encourage them in their purpose. So we started Men with Vision as the way to really mentor men, young men, middle-aged men, men who've been incarcerated, just all types of men, just to help them. And what we started doing is, we like to recognize men. We had the Men with Vision Awards, which you always thank you a part of coming to do our photography. It's just to recognize men, especially Black men, who are doing phenomenal things within the community. They have businesses, their community engagement. So that's the whole purpose, just to lift up Black men who are doing positive things.
Now, you said this was given to you by God. What I guess what did he tell you the whole need was for?
So funny you should ask this question, because during a week of fasting and prayer, Men with Vision has been sort of, I don't want to say stagnant, but ever since the pandemic, we've been sort of just rethinking, reviving. So during the week of fasting and prayer, one of the things I laid before the Lord was like, what do you want me to do with Men with Vision? Because we're a little stuck right now. Like, what should we be doing? And so, God is funny. So he says this to me. It's in the name, Men with Vision. I want you to go focus on promoting and highlighting men who have a vision. Like, I'm like, okay, really? So, and that includes a variety of different things. So, like, we have we're restarting our podcast called The Men's Room, which is where we're going to bring on men. You'll be on. We're going to bring on men to talk about topics that are important to men. We're going to highlight men who are doing wonderful things, again, like in the community. We're bringing back the Men with Vision Award. It's just going to be a little different this go round. So things like that. But that is where it's really to highlight and encourage men who are already entrepreneurs, youth pastors, men who are out there on the front line, single fathers, all those type of things. We want to highlight them.
I have another question for you.
Sure.
Does this organization help inner city youth, your organization?
We do. One of the first things we did, we held a rite of passage ceremony for young men between the ages of, I think it was 12 and 15. And what we did, you familiar with the bar mitzvah, the Jewish having their teenagers get a certain age. So we had this rite of passage ceremony that really welcomed young men into young adulthood. We had them come out, we fed them breakfast, and then I spoke to each and every one of them individually and prayed for each and every one of them individually. We do a lot of mentoring of the young men. I have two godsons, who they're grown men now, they're still young men. But it's really important to us that we pour into the life of inner city youth as well. The problem is just getting some of the inner city youth to want to listen. So it's it's a challenge of trying to find something without, like, I'm not into beating anybody upside the head, but but I'm just trying to figure out a way to reach them, and it's not always easy. You know, you have to keep going and find out what's interesting to them, and then reach them that way.
Now, I agree with what you're saying. It is hard to have inner city youth to listen. From your experience with doing this, what would you say would be a suggestion to reach inner city youth?
I think you have to find something that they're interested in. I think that's the first little. If you find what they're interested in and show some interest in that, and then, for lack of a better word, you slow walk them. And what I mean by slow walk them is you don't hit them at once. You know, you see what they're interested in, and then little by little, you're pouring little nuggets into them. Then you're asking them questions. You're seeing where they are, where they want to go, and do it that way. Because if they feel like you're trying to tell them what to do, it's a turnoff for them very easily. But if you find a young guy that's interested in basketball, so you know you get some interest in basketball, you start talking about sports, whatever they're into, you start talking to them about that first. And then after you do that, then you can start dropping some nuggets on them, and then you'll find they have to trust you. You know, they have to feel a level of trust, and then you're like, I'm not here to preach you or condemn you or judge you. Just trying to help you. And I think once we do that, they feel comfortable with you, then they'll open up to you more. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that as a parent, godparent, spiritual parent, whoever, step parent, the role definitely is hard. And I tell a lot of people, you don't just qualify as a parent because you had a kid. You know, that's just the title that comes along with the job. I mean, it comes along with that. You know, it's just the title that comes along with that function of you having a kid. I think that, you know, when you have individuals like step parents and spiritual fathers and mothers, that's kind of a more serious role, because now you're trying to take up the actual work of the parent, and it's not just a label. I mean, for some people, you know, we used to have this debate. Well, it wasn't a debate, but it was a question I put these questions up on Facebook, and the question was, you know, what's the whole function of a godparent? And from my understanding, the function of the godparent is to ensure the spiritual well-being of the children that person is over. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
You know, I think that is definitely a part of it. You know, my godson, my primary godson, like I've been his life since day one. You know, when his father asked me to be his godfather, and he's 24 now. But I have imparted to him spirituality. I've imparted to him natural wisdom. You know, we've shared a variety of experiences. You know, conversations about life. You know, just talk to him about, like, I've made it to a point that he can talk to me about anything. You know, there are times I wanted to choke him, but at the end of the day, I always wanted him to feel like he could come and talk to me about anything. So, you know, like his sense of fashion, you know, he loves clothes. I love clothes. I like to think that he got that from me. You know, there's a variety of things, and I let him talk when he wants to talk. And some days he don't want to talk, and I don't force it. Or because now that he's a young man, he's 24 now, I can no longer tell him what to do. I know I can't. But what I can do is express my opinion, and I'll basically, you know, I'm not telling you what to do, but here's what I think, and let him think about it. If he takes the advice, he does, and if he doesn't, he does not. I'm always going to be there for him. We make the mistake, and even with young children, we have to stop and listen to our youth. Like the problem, I came from the generation children should be seen and not heard. Nobody wanted to hear what we had to say. That was one of the worst things you can ever say to any child. They should be seen and not heard. I believe that if we're going to reach the youth, we have to listen to what they have to say. We don't always have to agree with them, but we got to give them a forum to say it respectfully. Now, I'm not talking about being disrespectful, but I want you to honestly tell me what's on your mind. If you're having a bad day, I want to know you're having a bad day. I mean, why do we think that as adults that we are the only one that can have a bad day? And they think, well, children shouldn't have a bad day because, you know, I'm paying the bills. That ain't got nothing to do with it. You have to go to school. You got to deal with life. You got to deal with social media. You got to deal with the bullies. Why can't they have a bad day? And especially young Black men whose lives are so at risk every time they walk out the door, somebody needs to be talking to them, and somebody needs to let them know it's okay to not be okay. And as men, we've made our biggest mistake, especially with black men, is teaching us that we have to hold everything inside. Everything inside. We can't say anything. And we can't cry. We can't show our feelings. That is just the biggest misconception there is. So if we're going to raise up a generation of youth and reach them, we got to let them know that you can open up, you can be honest about your feelings. You're entitled to your feelings. And I think that's what we need to work on.
Ambrell, what do you think about what Prophet Tom said?
I agree with what he said. I think that many people should start listening to what youth have to say more, because not everything that some people say is just, some youth say is just nonsense sometimes.
Right. Yeah, Ambria, I'd be honest, I feel for your generation, because I think you guys get such an unfair shake sometimes. You're assuming that all the kids out here are doing bad or doing wrong. But I like hanging around with young people. Like I do. Like I have a lot of young guys that I talk to under the age of 30 or 40, some teenagers, because I want to know what's going on. And besides, you guys are computer savvy. Technically, all the social media. If I'm going to learn it, I got to get somebody your age. And I think when you bridge those two things together, and once they realize I'm trying to get, learn something from them, they can teach me something. Now they're more willing to listen as I try to teach them something. I never go into a young person like I know everything and you're here to listen to me. No, I want to know what you know. You got opinions. My godson has strong political opinions. I realized this I think when he was in high school, we were out to breakfast one morning right before the election of Donald Trump got in the office, and his opinions. I was just astounded. I did not know that he was so into politics. He was following it like that. But that conversation was back and forth. I was sitting there listening. We gotta listen. Like we don't know everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You was about to say something. I definitely agree with both of y'all. That's the whole point in me bringing Ambria on here as a co-host, because if we work with youth, everything that this foundation does has to implement that. But then it's also like you said, because when I first asked her, she was like, I don't really like being on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of started off with her doing Black History moments or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I felt as though, I guess when God felt as though she was ready, he just told me to bring her on here, and she's been doing, pretty good. She's doing a really good job.
Yes,
but you have to, with these kids, you have to listen to what they say, and even if you listen to them, they'll tell you that.
Right.
And I think like what you said, earlier, that we come from a generation of kids just being heard. I mean, you just listen to what parents saying, and you're not supposed to be heard.
Right.
It's a bad pattern, because we have children, people our age, me and your age, that's scared to speak up for themselves because of that bad parenting.
Right, exactly. My mother raised us. I seem to be the problem child. That's not the story. But she never wanted to listen to what I had to say. Even when I got in trouble at school, she never wanted to find out, well, why are you having trouble in that class? I never got a chance to tell her that my chemistry teacher, who was 80 years old, was posting, he wrote the whole chapter of the book on the board, and we were supposed to read that as we came in every day. Like, he's not teaching nothing, so I'm not going to class. It wasn't right for me to cut class, don't get me wrong. It was not right for me to cut class. But I think if she'd have listened to the logic behind it, she'd have understood it better. Like, I'm not learning anything here. I'm sitting here for 45 minutes. He's not teaching us nothing, and I'm frustrated, so I'm just not going to class. But she wouldn't listen to those things, And I just hate to see, and I still see it today, where some parents, you pay the bills, you dress them. That's your job. You're supposed to. You don't get kudos from me because you're doing what you're supposed to do. When you decide to become a parent, then you decided to take the responsibility of feeding that child, clothing that child, educating that child. I don't give special kudos for that. I just don't. I mean, people think, well, no, nobody asked to come here. I didn't ask to come here, So therefore, once you decide to have a child, then that's your responsibility.
Yeah, it's the same thing with a plant. The plant ain't going to just blossom and grow by itself. You
Right.
gotta do something to make that develop. And like you
Exactly.
said, when I came up, the things that you just mentioned now, like the clothing, the food,
Mm-hmm.
like the roof over your head, that was so emphasized. Like, you ought to be lucky that that's happening.
Right.
Well, what if you wasn't doing it? Like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Right. Who won't do it if you're not doing it? You know.
yeah, 'cause that's your job. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Like when we go into, like if you Apostle choose God, one of you guys to speak,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you guys not coming off as the MC and like, well, where my check at?
Yeah.
Because that's just one of the duties of being one of the ministers at the church. And it's the
Exactly.
same thing with a parent. You're not getting cut a check at the end of the week because
Right.
you taught your kid how to brush their teeth, or you taught your 3-year-old how to tie their shoes or whatever like that. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? When you talk to these kids, and like I was trying to say before,
Mm-hmm.
if you just listen to them,
Right.
they're trying to tell you that you're not listening to me,
Exactly.
and I don't feel comfortable coming to you
Right.
as a parent. So now I'm going to my dingy friends that
Right.
got the same problems, and whatever they say, if it sounds
Mhm.
remotely similar, then
Mhm.
it's right on time. And I'm
Exactly.
listening to that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. My godson's father is phenomenal. He is like if it could get the Father of the Year award, it should be him because the way he's raised his children is the fact that he listens to them. Like he has very real talk with them. Very real talk. Sometimes like, dude, you just said it too. Did you? Like, yeah, I did. But he draws the line. Said they have to understand they can come to me with anything. The reality they have to understand is that I'm going to give them the other side of the coin, but they also have to understand that I'm still their father. I'm not their friend. He says sometimes they have a tendency to want to get it confused. He said, I'm not your friend, I'm your father, but you can come and talk to me about anything. And the way that he's built their relationship with them has made it. I just watch how they've been, raised with that, knowing they can go to him with anything. And I think there's a parent, anytime your child is afraid to talk to you about something, it's not a good thing. Even if they're going to get in trouble, even if you're going to get in trouble, you're going to get in trouble. But at the end of the day, come and tell me the truth, what's going on, and we can handle it from there on.
Now, Bree, what do you think about the freedom that children have in regards to speaking to their parents?
I think that the parent has to make themselves open for the child to come speak for them. I feel like that if the child just feels like that, well, I can't speak to you about this because I know that you're gonna get mad at me. I know you're just gonna yell at me because I feel like that sometimes. But like I feel like the parents gotta make themselves like available to the child at any time.
Mhm.
That's what I feel
Yeah, I agree with you. The reality is sometimes what I have learned is that parents can have a bad day too. So sometimes it takes a minute, to figure out. Maybe I'm not going to bring that to you right now, but I'm going to talk to you about it later. And I think sometimes everything is a matter of timing. But sometimes I don't think children understands that parents have a lot on their plates too. Not making excuses, but out in this world, trying to make it in the world today, take everything you got, da 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 da. Remember the song, right?
Right.
But I think those lines of communication, and even if I think that for parents, apologizing is something they really need to get in the habit of doing, and that's something I think a lot of parents have not developed their skill to apologize to their child. If your child comes to talk to you, you snap out on them for no reason. You should apologize. Seriously, it's not that big. I'm sorry, I had a lot on my mind. Or just say to the child, what, can we talk about this later? I got a lot going on. Can we talk about this later? I think children are receptive to that. No child should be afraid to talk to their parent about anything. They just shouldn't.
And I think, like you said, with the whole apology thing, it
Mm-hmm.
gives the child like a new vision, like, oh wow, they
Right.
seen what was wrong, so
Mm-hmm.
they apologize. I mean, excuse me. It's been times where either her or her sisters
Mm-hmm.
that normally in the process of correcting them about something, or I might have, said something out of term, you have to apologize.
Right.
It's just sometimes the apology doesn't come at that very instant,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to. Excuse me. Because like I said, it gives the child the image that you just don't feel like you can say whatever you want to say to me,
Mm-hmm.
disregard my feelings and then I'm supposed to just go on like everything is okay.
Right. No, I think that that's really good. And like I said, it's all at the end of the day, it's all about communication. It really is keeping the lines of communication open, and listen to what your child has to say, encouraging them. We take the term train up a child in the way that we should go, and I know we all know that from a spiritual perspective. But there are so many things that encompasses training a child. Teaching the child how to listen, teaching the child how to hear what you have to say. I mean, there's a variety of different things. Children watch what you do, not so much what you say. It's what you do.
I have another question for you.
Sure.
What advice can you give to the men so that their sons don't turn up like inner city youth?
Be present in their lives. I can't stress that anymore. Be very present and be very active in your son's life. I mean, I think that is the key right there. And it's a little more difficult raising a boy child. Well, I know it's difficult raising a boy. Turning a young boy into a man takes a lot of work. And in order for them to grow up and learn how to be a man, they have to have a man to teach them how to be a man. You have to be active in their lives. Sometimes you have to be a little harder on them than you are maybe on the daughter. But at the end of the day, because the world is harder. But the biggest advice that I say is, if you are a father and you have your son, you have to be active in his life. You have to be present. Even if you and the mother are not together, you still have to be active. There are some things that only a man can teach a young man. And I know we have wonderful single mothers out here. I'm not knocking that, but as growing up without a father, I know for a fact how detrimental that was for me.
Now you said the statement that you made where you said that it's certain things that only a man could teach a son. Mm-hmm. Could you give a few examples?
Of course I can. I think one of the things that a man is responsibility. We really you can teach a son responsibility by showing responsibility, which means that I get up every day, I go to work, I pay, I'm helping to pay the bills. Responsibility is big, and that's where a lot of young people are missing it. Discipline. And when I say discipline, I'm not talking physical discipline. I'm talking about discipline in their daily routine. You get up in the morning, you get yourself dressed, you go to school. Those are disciplinary actions that we have to teach our young men. Truth and honesty. Like, the word is everything. And you have to teach, and this is really for all children. You got to teach your children, especially young men, to tell the truth, regardless of the situation. Tell the truth. And then, for lack of a better word, there are some street smarts, especially for black men, that we have to teach our young black men. We do. We got to teach them how to be smart out on these streets. I know people don't understand, but it's a lot going on in the streets. You got to recognize game, for lack of a better word. And you got to teach, and this is for young ladies too. You got to teach them to be savvy enough for how to operate in the world. See, I think sometimes as Christians, we get so caught up in the Christianity thing, which is great. Spirituality is great. But we walk out that door, you got to know what you're dealing with out there. You got to keep your eyes open. You got to be looking around at your surroundings. All those things, have to be taught. I watched this clip on Instagram, I think it was, or Facebook, and the father, every Mother's Day, he brings a gift to his ex-wife for Mother's Day. And somebody said, "Why are you doing that for her?" And he said, "Because I want my sons to understand and teach them to still love and respect. She birthed my children. So why wouldn't I do it?" I thought it was very powerful. Very powerful. Those are the things we can teach them: respect, love, kindness, and just basic things. And then, of course, the other sexual things we need to talk to all our children about. But yeah.
And I'm definitely glad you brought that up, because I talk a lot of people. But I was talking with somebody the other day, and I was telling them that how some men try to restructure what Mother's Day is. So someone to say, "Well, I don't have to excuse me, get you anything for Mother's Day because you're not my mother." Referring to the wife or whoever.
Right.
And I, at the time the person was telling me this, I said, "Well, you may not be his mother, but you a mother. So it doesn't. It's not your Mother's Day. It's just Mother's Day.
Right, exactly.
So
Well,
you want to celebrate her as a mom,
and-
and I feel as though that he's just trying to get out of just doing something nice for you. So
exactly.
don't allow that to happen.
Right. Yeah, I think that's wrong. I think that first of all, when a woman gives birth to your child, she cares for you. That deserves respect and honor all her life. So
Right.
whether we're together or not, I'm buying her a gift on Mother's Day is not, it's something that you should just that this is a means of saying thank you. She birthed you children, So I think, and the more we teach, you see, we have to teach our young men that it's okay that even if the relationships are over, we can still, if at all possible, we should still be friends, especially for the sake of the children.
Right.
Especially for the sake of the children. And that takes both parents to be willing to do that, though.
Mm-hmm. It's a very humbling thing.
Right.
I definitely thank you, Prophet Tom, for coming out, sharing your time with us. We'd love to have you again. And, thanks for dropping the nuggets on us about the ministry and just, and advice and about life in general.
Well, I thank you. I appreciate you even asking me to come on. I really enjoyed it. Embryo, your questions were great. Keep doing what you're doing because you could be the future journalist out there. You could be the next Oprah. Sitting out there. See, people don't realize little acts like this is how things get started.
Right.
And, I give you props because when we expose our children to these type of opportunities, you never know what that's going to lead to. Because this is something you're doing together. You never know. She might say, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Just because you've given her this opportunity. And that's what our young people need, I think, more than anything. Just give them an opportunity. And you grab them while they're young. While they're young, when you still she can listen and she can figure out, well, maybe I want to do journalism. Maybe I want to do something similar. But at least she's been exposed and has the opportunity to do that. So I think it's great. So I thank you so much. I have really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. And like I said, we'd love to have you again. And thank you so much for your wisdom.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The wonderful Mr. Thomas Waters, Men with Vision. What he said about, the thing about you being a journalist, I'm not sure what direction you going. You said you wanted to be a director. I don't know anything about that career path, but I know that if I gave you the opportunity to, how could I say, make your own voice on here, it would at least make you more comfortable and help you to come up with ideas and things like that. When I was coming up, it wasn't no Facebook or any kind of book. It was just books. It wasn't any social media or anything like that. We communicated with each other when we seen each other at events or the phone or a letter or something like that or a pager or something like that there. So I wanted you to have your light so you can shine and you can get comfortable in doing things like this. And you can say, well, hey, let's try to do this differently, or here's a better idea, or whatever like that. And I really don't have a problem with that happening. You know what I mean? So, and I want to give you and all your sisters the opportunities that you guys can see first, take advantage of, and then go forward on a more productive path. But like I tell other parents, sometimes for that to happen, you need to upgrade the type of lifestyle that you have. That's why I'm in school now, so I can, my lifestyle can become better so that y'all's lifestyle can become better. But if I'm stagnant in the position that I am as a person, then I can't do anything for you. That's like if y'all wake up every day and you come over here and I'm just walking around outside in a circle. That's not doing anything productive for y'all because I'm not going anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? And parents, it's the same thing you have to do with your children. You know, excuse me, for your child's life to become better, sometimes your life has to become better. And you might already say, well, I'm already at a point in my life where as though I can't see any room for growth. Well, the reason why you don't see room for growth because you're not looking for it. You know, when they freed the slaves, some of the slaves thought that it was nothing better than being here on this plantation. Well, you know, the plantation that they was on. And that, you know, excuse me, it's a movie called Gone with the Wind. In the second act, the slaves are free. And, you know, the owners of the slaves, Miss Scarlet and the other people, I don't know all their names, they had no idea how to manage the house. Now, there was some slaves there that was loyal to them, you know, because they just didn't want to see them fail. But then there was also slaves that was just like, I can't go past this because I don't know how to. And I call that the slave mentality. And sometimes we as Black folks, and it's other races too, it ain't just a Black thing. You can't go past what the master won't let you go past. So if the master says you can only go right here, you'll never try to exceed that. And as you can see, my hand can visibly go higher than that. But if the master say this is all you can go, then that's all you'll go. That's why I had you and your sisters sign those contracts not accepting mediocrity. And I have to credit that to Dr. Tamika Evans when she came on the show, because when she said that to me in regards to what her and her husband, Dr. Alfonso Evans, said for their children, not to accept mediocrity, it blew my mind because I never heard anybody say your kid just can't be average. Because so many parents out there just saying, well, you know, just do the best that you can do. Now, I remember, you know, you starting the first day of kindergarten, you know, we got to the yard and we patted you on your back and you say, well, Ambrielle, do the best you can do. This your first day of kindergarten. What the heck you think your best is going to be? Because you don't have anything to compare it to. You don't have anything like in the back of your head where you be like, well, I done did this before, so let me do this better. Like you don't have anything. Like it's me and your mom's job to say, go as far as you can go. Because if I tell you to do the best that you can do, the best that you can do may just be sitting in the classroom till the period is over, and then just leaving. Excuse me. But when you set standards for your children, they'll exceed them. And no matter what somebody else says, you can't go higher than that. You'll know you can go higher than that. And there's so many people that's comfortable in jobs. Excuse me. Now, I'm not knocking, you know, people that's an LPN, but there's some of the reasons why people won't go for RNs. And I say people because you can be a male nurse too. It's because they're comfortable where they at. And they won't dare go further than that. Because for one, they don't have the confidence in their own selves, some of them, to say, well, hey, I go back to school and get this. Or they'll try to kill themselves and work to try to get the same amount of money that an RN would get from doing, you know, so many hours within a week. You know, you working 7 days for 12 hours or whatever like that. But RNs, they make significantly the same amount of money for less time. You know, as a saying, work smarter, not harder. You know, some people haven't come to that point yet. So I thank you for, you know, always wanting to come on and having ideas, and, you know, just being willing to do it. You know what I mean? And accepting my guidance in regards to this, because when I did this, I ain't really It was just something God said to do. So I didn't even think that you would be on the other side of the screen, helping me do this. Because I would just come on and vent my frustrations about how people bad parents and how your kids should be doing this and doing that. And it really wasn't working because, wasn't really nobody listening to what I was saying because it felt like I was attacking them. And then I ain't really have experience on it. Some of the stuff, so I had to bring people on that knew what they were saying. And then, like I told Prophet Tom, if we involve youth, then it has to be youth on it also. So that's why you here. But parents, be more involved with your kids. Talk to them, listen to them. And it's not a thing that it starts at a certain time. If you're pregnant now, mom, you can talk to your baby now. They mom used to talk to them when she was pregnant. And I'll be like, this woman crazy. I don't know who's she talking to. Because I didn't think that the baby could hear what she was saying, but she knew more than I did, because she was in that early childhood education field. So she knew what she doing was right and that the baby could hear. When she exercised that same technique with all the girls and they've, blossomed and matured and elevated in life to do things that I could only imagine. I never had the opportunity to study abroad. Excuse me. I never been on TV at all. Excuse me. But Amani has. Amani studies abroad. You Ambrielle got selected for the National Junior Honor Society. And that's all due to the work of your parents. But academically, that goes to your mom because she instilled in y'all the tools that y'all needed to succeed academically. So parents, that's all it takes. It's just that. And don't think you know everything because you're a parent. That's just a title. Parenting is a job. Anybody can be a parent. And y'all know that because some of y'all got dads that ain't even involved in your children's life. And I ain't saying that, just because you see the daddy-daughter dates and all that stuff. Some of them dates I don't want to go on because I'll be tired. But they make me go. And I know they look forward to it. You know what I mean? And that's what counts. Because if you do things for your kids because you want to make them happy, they'll see that. But if you always disappoint them, then they'll get used to that too. And they won't ask you for anything. Now, you may think that that's the best thing in the world for your kids not to depend on you. But you'll start to see that once they can't depend on you as a child, they won't want you to depend on them when they get older. Because you're not going to always be 40 or 50. You'll be soon at an age where somebody's going to have to care for you. And that person, being as though you failed them since birth or whatever time period that happens, they're not going to be so receptive to do that. So it's up to you. I mean, your kids could be successful or they can just be mediocre. But how that happens depends on you. So that's all we got for tonight. Let me make sure. Sometimes I'll be forgetting stuff. Oh yeah, Ambrielle got this moment in Black History. So we gonna get into that real fast. So we got about 6 minutes. You can do it in 6 minutes, right?
Yes, it's a short one.
All right.
Okay. Well,
all right. Take it away. You got the floor.
Okay, well, today I'll be talking about the Greensboro Four. Okay, so on February 1st, 1960, Ezell A. Blair Jr., Franklin E. McLean, Joseph A. McNeil, and David L. Richmond staged a sit-in in Woolsworth lunch counter in Greensboro, NC. The 4 African-American college students, later known as the Greensboro Four, attempted to order coffee at the whites-only lunch counter, but were refused service. They continued to return to the store and stage peaceful sit-ins to protest segregation, and soon they were joined by 100 other Black college students. The initial Greensboro protest eventually spurred sit-ins of stores with segregated lunch counters in other southern cities. In reaction to public support of the sit-ins, the entire Woolsworth chain finally moved to desegregated in July 1960.
You can't hear me. What did you learn about this moment in Black history?
I already know who the Greensboro Four was, but I mean, I wouldn't say I learned something new, but I guess it strengthened what I already knew. Because I knew that they staged a sit-in, but I didn't know how much their impact was. I thought that it was just like another protest. I didn't know that because they just sit down, more college students started to come, and then it later caused the whole Woodsworth to desegregate in July.
Oh, okay. Cool. And parents, that's another thing. Teach your kids about their culture. The more they know about their culture, the more they have a better sense of identity. And they won't be so easily influenced by bad peers, because they'll see that, the struggles that the people had in their culture in the past may be relevant or could be motivating to, want the person to be better than what they are. So we definitely want to thank you guys for always tuning in. That's all we got for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. We definitely want to thank our guest again, Prophet Thomas Waters from Men with Vision. I want to thank my co-host, Ambrielle. And I definitely want to thank you for coming out and sharing your time with us. That's all we have for tonight. God bless and good night.
Good night.